Happy Monday, everyone. I'm your host and facilitator, Dr. Elwanda Bennett. I will be talking to you today about Game On. We're talking about project management, and I am looking forward to making sure that everyone gets what they need. If you're on LinkedIn or YouTube or any of the other streaming services, please drop your questions in the chat. Our guest will be joining us shortly to give us some insight into gaming, gamification, and how we'll be using that in our project management development, professional development activities, and different ways that we can use games in order to learn and to specifically help those in the project management profession, how they can grow and become greater. And again, drop your questions in the chat, or you can email me questions at vppd, Vice President Professional Development, at pmihouston.org. You could always write me to delight me. You know I like to hear from you. Also, while we're doing that, we're going to give it a minute. Couple of things, just orders, things to ponder, points to ponder. We have tomorrow Agile Lean Coffee with Abby Knappen. She's our leader there on Agile. We have an Epic Achiever series coming up. That's in the middle of the month on Wednesday. We have also Career Trajectory on January the 20th. Be there, be square, because you're missing something great for your career. We want to help you get your next job, or improve you in your current job, or help you transition to your next job. So it's all about you, all about your career, what you want to do. Want to talk about that. We're doing it in person and hybrid. So we're looking for people to join us over there in that space. We have so many cool things going on at PMI. I'm going to give ourselves a minute to bring on our guests. Maybe we may need more than 1 minute. I don't know. But happy Monday to you all. Welcome in. I see people gathering. And I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys an opportunity to be great. Let's see what we got going on over here as I'm watching and looking forward to people joining. I see people gathering in the room, and that's cool. And what I want to do is, let's give us 1 minute. I want to bring in our team. They are coming from a very far location. They're not out here in Conroe, Texas, or out here in cut and shoot with me. They're way across the galaxy in another country where it's afternoon there. They're not in the morning time. They're done with morning. They're in their afternoon. So I'll give us 1 minute, 1 minute for Bennett to come back and bring you our guests. Thank you so much. Oh, and by the way, we're on time early. We're due to start at 8 a.m. on the dot. So thank you for being a part. Hang out, grab some water, grab some coffee, no donuts. And I'll see you soon. Looking forward. Hello and welcome. Daniel, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can. How are you doing today?
Outstanding. I am looking forward to getting into it. We have people on. They'll drop questions in the chat if they have any, but we do have a few watchers and they're just coming in. They're not saying too much. They're quiet this morning. It's early where I am, and I'm coming to you Central Time out of Conroe, Texas. Uh, and I've already told you who I am. I'm your hostess with the mostest. Looking forward to learning a lot from our key speaker today. His name is Daniel Zitter. And one of the things that I want to tell you about him is that he is a creative mind and a genius of many sorts, but he won't say. But I will tell you that's who he is. And what you will find from him is that he is very excited and encouraged about helping us learn more about how projects work. He is himself, like me, a PMP. He's been in the industry for many years, and he has so much um, knowledge, skills, and capabilities that he wishes to share with us. So, before I yield the mic to him, I just want to say thank you again, sir, for being willing to come on and spend your time and invest your energy in explaining the multitude of interesting things that are cool about games. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited
Absolutely.
about this.
Absolutely. Daniel's one of our professional development partners. Uh, we turned 50. We're the first chapter ever. So we are welcoming him in and enjoying him. So, Daniel, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself and let people know who you are, and then we'll get into our discussion.
Wonderful. So I started my journey in project management at Intel, different Intel sites around the world. Started off in Colorado Springs and went to Boston and so on. So I had a really great school for project management. And folks in Intel really know how to plan and execute projects. So that was really a great start for me. And then I started going around different companies, helping them set up their own PMOs, implementing software for project management and so on. And I did that for many, many years until I decided I wanted to do this for myself. So I opened my own company together with my partner from Mutal Weiss. And the first project we did together was write a book. So we wrote a book. It's called Being a Project Manager, and it's all about what you need to do in order to be a great project manager. So that's how we started off, and we've been together now. We just figured out we've been together for 11 years now, so that's pretty exciting. And we do a lot of different things together. We teach project management and we consult in project management. But that kind of leads us to our topic here, because when we've been teaching project management for many years, and people have been asking us, to come in and do training for them, and we were trying to think of how we could do this a little bit differently. So that's how we kind of came to the world of games in general.
So, Daniel, that's fascinating to me. Tell me more about what made you guys decide you were going to use a game as a strategy in the training.
That's great. So, when you teach many, many courses, and I'm sure you know this, you kind of get a feeling of what people like more and what they like less. And we kind of figured out that when we were just talking at people, they weren't as engaged, they weren't as happy, they weren't as, into it as they. So we started to think of ways of having them participate more. And we did a lot of different exercises and case studies and a lot of different things around that. And that's really great. But we found that people were really, really engaged when we started playing games with them. And when I say games, it could be anything from a small game, and I'll give you some examples later. Um, but it could also be, a board game. It could be an online game. It could be different things, and that's when people really seem to pop out and to really, be with us. So that's why we decided to go in that direction. Another thing that happened, around the same time that we decided to focus in on this was that I have 3 kids, and I play board games with my kids. And I realize that while we're playing games, I get to learn a lot about them, and I can teach them different things. Now, these are completely different things, right? These are things like patience, learning how to lose with dignity, how to win, and different things, and how to interact with your brothers and sisters. So it was through that I kind of figured out, this is really interesting. This is a place that people can learn, while doing. And then we said, okay, why don't we try this with our students? And I don't know if you realize this, but project managers are kind of the only profession I know that don't think that they need to practice.
Mm,
They don't, they think, I, I can talk about myself. When I was a young project manager, I thought, I studied project management. I know all about project management. Why would I go to a course, or why would I practice managing projects? I do that on my day-to-day basis, right? That's what I do. Exactly. So, you kind of figure out, and people don't want to listen too much. But if you're playing a game, so you're not talking to them about project management. You're talking about a certain scenario, you're playing with them, you're doing things, and you can bring in things that you can't say on a day-to-day basis. You can't talk to somebody about his project because that's him. He takes it very personally. If she's a good project manager, she thinks he's talking about my project. I have to defend it. So no, if you're playing a game and you're talking about the game, you can talk about a whole different, you know, range of things. So, a lot of different factors kind of came in there.
I'm excited about that. I'm currently in projects myself as a program manager and a project manager. And when you talk about practice, I'm excited for the opportunity to practice. I have had an opportunity to play your game, and I was with
Mm-hmm.
another practitioner. We were on something called Seminar at Sea, where we go out, project managers, and we're away and we are practicing. We're actually having a conference on the cruise. And while we were on the cruise, Dr. Tony Prinza brought his game, his his copy of the game, and he was teaching me and he was showing me the game. And I was enthusiastically engaged, intrigued, curious, involved, heightened in my willingness to learn and to learn how to play and to know what he was I just everything I was gobbling it up. I was gobbling it up.
That's
I
great.
wanted to ask
Yeah.
you, give me an example of a simple game that you could play as a PM, to teach a PM thing. What sort of what thing would you recommend, Daniel, when you think about it?
So the first thing that you need to remember is that when you go in to play the game, you usually have some sort of agenda. You mentioned that you're a program manager. So as a program manager, many times you have certain things that you want to tell your project managers, but you don't want to say it in an unpleasant way. You don't want to say it too directly. Maybe you want to talk to them about, I don't know, the importance of planning. Okay, because you notice that they're not really spending a lot of time or enough time in your eyes on planning. So instead of going in and asking questions about that, which could be perceived not in the best way, you can create or work on a game, and through the game talk about the points that you want to talk about. So why am I saying that? I'll give you an example of a fun game. There's a game called the Marshmallow Challenge. And for those of you that haven't heard about it, I encourage you to go into YouTube, write in the Marshmallow Challenge, and you'll find a whole bunch of videos and short flicks to talk about that. And what it is basically is you get a bunch of spaghetti, straight spaghetti pieces, and you get a marshmallow, and you're supposed to build a tower, the highest tower that you can. You also get duct tape, well, not duct tape, but different tape that you can use, and you're supposed to build something that's the highest and is stable. Okay, so essentially, you're giving people in the room. You divide them into groups, and they're supposed to build. They have, I don't know, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to build the highest tower that they can. But they have the thing that they have to do is they have to have a marshmallow on top. So you can have a really nice construction, very large, high. But if you don't have a marshmallow on the top, it doesn't count. So dividing them into groups, having them manage their own project, after they do this, and obviously you have a winner, you have a group that has the highest tower with the marshmallow on top, that's when you can start doing the learning. That's when you can start talking to them and kind of analyzing what they did while they were playing. So, did they spend any time planning? Did they just go ahead and do it? Did they have alternatives? Did they spend time creating a good work plan or a contingency plan? What will happen if? Okay, so through this very simple exercise that any one of you can do, right? You don't need to buy anything, you don't have to do anything. You just need to go in and learn a little bit about it. And you can do that with your team or teams and emphasize a point again through questions, through guiding them through what was done during the project or through their building, and talking about that. So we kind of created a more elaborate game around that. And again, that's something that each one of you guys could do. Let me find this real quick. I think I have it open here. Let me see if I can share my screen. Yeah, here it is. So, can you guys see my screen
I'm
now?
about to share it. One moment, and I'll give it the
Okay.
focus. There we go, Daniel. We could see.
Okay, so I'm just gonna go down. There's a slide here I wanted to show you. Here it is. So this is it. Can you see again? I don't see what you
I
guys
see
see.
something. I see lifelong learning for PMs, a project
Ah,
management
okay. So,
game.
yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm just gonna go there to the slide I wanted to show you. This is just a picture of something I took during a game. Here it is. So here we have an example. This is a little bit more elaborate game than what I talked about, than the marshmallow challenge. And again, this is something you guys can do for yourselves. We divided the group into three teams. Every team has his own project. They got balloons, they got tape, they got cups, they got straws, and different material for them to build a tower.
What's the name of this game?
We just called it the tower game.
Okay, okay.
And what they were supposed to do, every team had the same amount of people. Excuse me. They got the same material. They also got money to buy additional material. Here in the back, I don't know if you can see it, but I had my store. They could
Mm-hmm.
come with their money and buy additional elements if they wanted to. And the goal of this game was that each team had to build the highest tower that they could, that would be stable and steady. So it had to be on a chair. And I told them before we finish the game, so before you finish your time, what I'm going, or after you finish your time, I'm going to take every chair and I'm going to shake it twice to see that it's sturdy. Okay. Now, whatever height it remains after I shake it twice, that's the height that you have. So not only do you have to build the highest tower, but it has to be durable enough to sustain the shaking. And during the game, we tell them, we go up to people and we say, okay, you and you're out on leave right now. So they can't participate in the project. And then a few minutes later, we bring them back in. Or when they come, sometimes they come to the store to buy, I don't know, additional cups or balloons. And I tell them, sorry, store is closed for inventory. So you have a lot of things happening during the game that simulate things that happen during your project, right? People disappear, they have to go to a different project, personal stuff, things we didn't anticipate, like inventory, happen, and we need to deal with that. So this is a little bit more elaborate than the spaghetti game, the marshmallow game,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still the same principle. So this is something that you guys can take and do within your organization. And the game is fun, it's engaging, there's a lot to say about it. But the most important thing is not the game itself, but the discussion that you hold afterwards. Okay, so you're having fun. You're doing. Some people call it a team building thing. You have you're doing stuff. It's really engaging and fun, but you're also going to analyze this when you're done.
So, how long
And
did you
that's
give
where
them,
the real
Daniel?
learning.
Oh, sorry for cross talking.
So
How much time did you
yeah,
give them to do the tower game?
so they get 15 minutes
15 minutes.
for building the tower, but then they could buy additional time with their money. They can buy additional 3 minutes if they want. They need to decide how they want to spend their money. And usually it takes about, I don't know, to set it up like 10 minutes, and then they get the 15 minutes to play or to build the tower. Usually they want additional 3 minutes, for more. And then the discussion could be anywhere from half an hour to 2 or 3 hours because there are so many things that come out of this, that you can emphasize. And again, sometimes I go and I'm with a group that I just say, whatever comes out, comes out. It's fine. Sometimes I have an agenda. Sometimes I say, I have this group. They're not very good communicators. Let's see what we could do around that. So we can talk after playing the game. We can emphasize communication and talk about the communication that they held within the time that they played the game.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, when I think about what it is that you offer, I want people to know that they can reach out to you. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, had you ever encountered any resistance for wanting to introduce games? I really want to know what your experience has been like in that area for wanting to introduce games into, say, the corporate environment.
Yeah. So definitely, we did get resistance. There are some people that just don't like games, or weren't very in. We're at work. What do you want us to play? Or some people just don't like playing. And it's really interesting to see these people because when we play our games, for instance, and we didn't talk about our games. Maybe we'll talk about it next time. But when they come in and they're in a situation where they need to play, many times I have at least one or two people in the room that are very resistant. So what I do with these people, I encourage them to pair up. So they don't usually play on their own, but they play with another person. So if there's somebody that's, a senior project manager and he seems reluctant to play, I could tell him, okay, you could be with this junior project manager. Please help him play and do well. Okay. So, you try and kind of twist it. You're going to be the mentor. You're going to be, you could be the executive here. Maybe you don't have to play the game itself, but you can help mentor them. So you find different roles for these people to make sure that, they're with you and they enjoy it. So it's not easy. Sometimes these are big hurdles, but you always can find some way. And you know what? There are some times that I played and I still had one or two people sit on the side out of 15 or 16, and they weren't into it. You can't please everyone.
Hmm. I often ask about the resistance because I'm a big believer that I'm a lifelong learner. Uh, it's often what we think we know that prevent us from learning.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
I've had new vocabulary introduced to me by my grandsons. One of the words was panthogenetic, panthogenesis, from my 7-year old grandson. And what he explained to me is this is how geckos reproduce. They don't need another partner, they can mate on their own. And it's called panthogenesis. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. I did not know
Yeah,
that. And he's very curious about the animal kingdom. But what if we weren't willing? What if we weren't willing? So that's the benefit of the
exactly.
game. What if we don't play? How can we learn
Exactly.
the
You know,
gamemanship?
that pilots, for instance, they spend at least a few hours a month in simulators learning how to fly planes, and this is after they do this their whole life. Or you have players in an orchestra, for professional, and they train They don't just go up and go to a concert and do it. Whatever. I mean, they train. So how can we allow ourselves, not to train ourselves? That's what I try to convey to people. I say, if you're not learning, you're staying still. You're not moving forward. You're not staying with the times. We always have to learn.
As project managers, I feel compelled to offer opportunities for us to have experiences, to
Hmm.
learn,
Yeah.
more than just class, but active workshops, boot camps, incubators. I'm formulating project management centers of excellence, and I'm also
Hmm.
formulating professional development practicums where we could come alongside a group for a week and a week long intensive where we're coaching them, we're working alongside them. They're doing real work at work, but we're also there to interject. Hey, remember in the PMBOK it says thus and so. What are you doing right now that's in alignment with what our mission, goals, visions, and values are concerning project
Yeah.
management? Because we know there's the PMBOK and then there's real life.
Yeah.
And sometimes real life will be like, delete that PMBOK. You want to get paid or not? What's happening? Right? Have you had that pressure ever?
Exactly.
Say something
Always.
about that.
Yeah.
Say something about, oh, PMBOK, huh? You want your money? Talk to
Yeah.
me. What are you thinking there?
The most common thing I encounter when I go into groups or when I help project managers set up things, and I tell them, we need to spend time on, I don't know, creating a risk registry. And they look at me and like, Daniel, forget about that. Let's just go ahead and work. Let's, work on the project. Let's do stuff. I don't want to spend time planning or talking about risks. I want to go ahead and do. So that's something that I encounter every time I go into a project with new people. They always tell me, Daniel, forget about all the theory. Let's do it. Let's create. Let's work on things. So that's a great big challenge that I always have. So people are trying to move aside the PMBOK and the theory, and they want to go ahead and do stuff.
I think that bias towards action destroys the opportunity to learn.
I
Only
agree.
reason I say that because I myself am guilty. I'm all about experiential learning, but now I'm learning that I have to put a framework or a foundation around that, which is all the PMBOK is guidelines. It's simply helping us understand how to navigate it. It's us insisting on flying the plane without doing our training, without doing our simulation. It's us insisting that, oh, I'm gonna be the pilot. Now I piloted for 10 minutes one time, but that's good enough. And that shit, I can do a cross country with that. With that 10 minutes that I've done, oh, that surely is enough practice for me to take you as far as you need. And that's what we're insisting on when we decide that we will not take time to
Mhm.
practice, play, learn, grow, plan. Hmm?
Mhm.
So that's what I'm learning from
Exactly.
listening to you now, Daniel, that we're refusing a great opportunity. We thinking we're
Right.
getting ahead, but we're not.
Totally agree. And I wanted to show you another example of a game that I have here. So I'm
Oh
going to
yes,
go
I
ahead and share my screen again.
okay. Let me
This
let
is
me
an
get it.
online game that I really like. It's free, so whoever
One
wants
moment.
can go in and see it. Can you see my screen right now?
I can see it. I'm sharing it for everyone to see. There we are, sir.
Yeah. So it's called that PM game. So that's how you get there. You just type in that PM game, and you'll get to this little page here. It's a page that was done by a guy called Rob. He's a project manager. He's a developer, so he went ahead and developed this many years ago. It's a lot of fun. So what you have here, you have a project, tells you what your budget is. So you have $711,000. This is your staff that you have, and these are the tasks with your critical path that you need to assign your staff to. So I can look here and I can see I have different people. Some are slow, some are low cost, some are slow and low cost. And I need to decide who I want to work on, what task I have here. So for instance, maybe if I have Vicky who is average, I'll put her on all the tasks that are on the critical path because I don't have anyone that I know that is faster than Vicky. And then for this task over here, I might as well use Marty, who is slow, and I'll use John, who is low cost. I don't know if he's also fast or slow. I don't know anything about that, but I can assign him to this task over here. And when I feel like I'm ready, I click on the start button, and then time starts to elapse, and I see what tasks are moving forward and how fast it's going. Okay, so I can see everyone and how well they're doing. I could pause here if I want, and I could change people doing things. I can click here on chance, like you do in projects, something that you're not sure of. So I click on this, and it says, Marty took training class and now works much faster. So Marty, who was slow, now works faster. I could choose to replace Vicky with Marty if I so choose, and resume. And I see that I'm still behind. Time is going by, not really doing well. Am I going to finish on time? Am I going to finish on time? No. So, yeah,
Oh,
I did
oh
finish on
no.
time the last second. And I got, I finished with a budget of $670,000 out of 711. So now I can play the game again and see how many times time after again can I win? Can I finish my project on time and on budget?
I
So
I love this. I've never seen it
yeah,
before. This is
it's
great.
so much fun, and
Hmm.
and it's free. It's out there. People can play it.
I'm
I
going to
love
play
playing
it.
it with. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and if you sit down and you try to analyze what you can learn from this, you can learn about critical path. You can learn about resource allocation. You can have whole discussions around it. Who do you take? What do you take? Does it pay to put people um, through training? I mean, there are a lot of different things that you can talk about here, and it's just a lot of fun, and you learn a lot from it.
Daniel, you made me happy. I want another one. Just give me one more game. One more game. I'll cool out.
Yeah, well,
I like
yeah, the
more.
game. It's kind of
Hmm?
yeah. It's a little bit harder to explain. There are a lot of different rules there, and you
Okay.
need a different setup. But let me see if I could get here. Again, I want to go
See if you can do
to my
it.
presentation. Yeah, we'll try to do that. So yeah, I'm going to share again. I'm going to share. Try to share this over here. Yeah. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, one moment while I let everyone else get over here. Okay, now everyone can see your screen, sir.
Okay, I'm just looking for. Oh, come on, come on. Um, no, I want to find the right game that I wanted to talk about today. Here it is. Okay, so wonderful. Let me just get back here so I can see. So what we see here is we have a screen, and on the screen there's a picture. Now, we divide the group in the room to different groups. So you have two or three different groups in the room. They all get um, Play-Doh in different colors. And they get very specific instructions that what they need to do their project basically is to copy what you have on the screen and have the same picture on their piece of paper. So they have a white piece of paper and they're supposed to, using Play-Doh, they need to recreate what they see on the screen. Now, we play this game. I don't give them any background or I don't talk to them about what's going to happen. But during the time that they're working and they're trying to recreate the picture from the screen, I change the picture. So I can move the sun to the side, or I can move one of the kids or the person there to be on the other side of the girl,
Mhm.
and that represents change management.
Ooh,
Things that change during your project.
the
And
requirement has
many times,
changed.
yeah, but many times I don't even tell them that something has changed. Suddenly
Oh,
they look up at the picture and they look back at me and they're like, hmm, what's going on here? Because I'm on a presentation, I just click something, they don't even notice, and then they're all baffled. And what happened here? And then when they do this, when they try to recreate the picture, many times they blend the Play-Doh inside the green background, and they everything blends and they can't move it. So then they kind of try and they realize that maybe they should put the sun on top of the sky so it could be moved if I need to. So you learn a lot of different things about change management just by playing the game. So again, we play a game, we have this experience. It was hard to change. Somebody moved, so I had to recreate everything from scratch. A lot of experiences. And then from the pain that they had, they know what they should do in order to embrace change and to anticipate change and know what they can do. So this is just, another example of a fun game you can play and that really teaches you a lot through doing.
it also contrasts the difference between predictive project management and agile, because agile is very change open, change driven, whereas the predictive and
Yes.
the non-adaptive model, and I always tell people there's still waterfall work out there, because we need bridges, roads, things of this
Yeah.
nature that are more for the predictive model. It needs to exist because we need to know how much it's going to cost to build a road or a street or a building. And we can't have the requirements changing there as much. Change is not welcome. Once we've decided on a scope, we've decided on a
But
six
it but
story
it
building.
does but it does happen,
Yes,
Dr.
we
Wanda.
want a
It
six
does
story
happen.
building, and then midway they say, oh, add two more stories. We need seven, we need 8 stories now of the building. Oh boy, you know?
So yeah, well, for us, I mean, I was part of a project. They were building a road, and they had everything planned out. Obviously, everything was out there, and then on the road construction, they found while they were digging, they found a cemetery. Now, where I'm from, you cannot build over a cemetery, even if it's very ancient and old. You'll never get permits to do that. So they had to completely change. They had to build a bridge there. Now, planning for a change like that is not an easy feat, but it's something that you could potentially do because you're going through certain areas that perhaps might have something like that. But again, planning for change, knowing what you're going to do if you hit something like that, and moving on. So both risk management, change management, a lot to talk about there.
Definitely. And you can learn a lot, especially about risk management, right? Because what was the likelihood of encountering such a thing? It was a surprise,
Mm-hmm.
and it was not
Yeah,
necessarily anything that was in our planning meetings.
right. But it could have been. So if people would have done their homework better and learned more about the area that they're putting the road through, they would have realized that there's a good chance that would happen. So just saying it is something that you don't really anticipate, but if you do your homework, you might be able to anticipate things better.
Well, the games are the way, they're the fun way to do the homework, in my mind,
Yeah,
and get
yeah,
it behind us.
definitely.
Uh,
Hmm.
Before we part
So
ways,
next time we
oh,
meet,
yes.
yeah, next time we meet, we can talk about other games, the games that we've created and people could buy and use around the world. So yeah, we can talk about a lot of different things.
May I ask you about your games? Can we show a little something to people so that they can
Sure,
come
we
and
can
reach
give you
out
a
to
little
you?
taste of things.
Yes, please. I would
Yeah,
love for people to know more about your game and what you do, because I like it so much, and I'm looking forward to implementing games in our work efforts here at my own
sure.
companies.
Okay. So
Yeah,
let me
just
share
give
my
us a little
screen here.
taste and tell us how to reach you, Daniel, because I feel like people will be very keen. Let me get this screen so that folks can see it. There
Hmm.
we are, sir.
So this is the board for one of our games. This is for what we call the PM Zone game, and we just imagine the setting. You can have around every board, which represents a program. You can have up to 6 people. Every 2 people are a project manager, so they work together, but they're also part of the same program. And every one of the participants gets a piece of paper that has 18 tasks on it, which shouldn't sound like a lot. I mean, I've never managed a project that only had 18 tasks, but still, it's very interesting to see how hard it is to plan out your 18 tasks. Because you need to take into consideration a lot of different things. You need to take into consideration your board. You have predecessors and connections between the different tasks. You have budget that you need to take into consideration. You have a certain amount of resources. So all of that comes together within the game. And you can have, as I said, 6 people around every board, but you can have many boards in the same room. I once played in Ireland. We had 120 people that came in to play with us. It was a conference, and they all played the game. And then, the game was fun, engaging, a lot of stuff happened. But again, the magic happened and the discussion afterwards when we talked about things that happened in the game. And again, when we talk again, I can dive deeper into the game, really show you the dynamics and how it works, and we can dive into that a little bit more. Now, for those that want to reach me, I'm on LinkedIn, Daniel Zitter. My company name is PM Zone. But you can also go to our website, and our website is pmzone.com. So that's again something that you guys could do, and reach out to me. I'm always very happy to talk to people about these subjects. It's just something that I'm really passionate about. So whenever you want to reach out, talk about things, ask me questions about games that are out there and stuff, I'm always happy to do that.
Well, Daniel, I want to thank you again for making time today. And I am certainly glad that you were able to come and give us some insight into games and how gamification can help us in our practice as project managers. I also want to invite people to join me at pmihouston.org. You can write me VPPD, Very Prudent Project Director, Professional Development. VPPD at pmihouston.org. You can write me and Daniel. Give them your email address again if they want to write you.
Sure, it's Daniel at pmzone.coil. So it's Daniel at pmzone.co.il.
Everyone, thank you, and we look forward to talking to you again. And be well, and thanks for everything, Daniel. Much
Thank
appreciated.
you so much, Dr. Bennett.
All right, be well.
Bye.
Bye.